Welcome to episode 2 of the Summer Knitting Journals. It is Monday morning. I just published episode 1. I edited until very late last night. I think I finished exporting at like 11 p.m. So I went to bed a little bit late, but it's okay. I spent the morning doing some work stuff, replying to some emails, stuff like that. And something happened. But I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later because I don't want to start the episode with that. I hope you cannot hear all the sound. I have all the windows open for the last few minutes of the moment of the day where outside is less hot than inside, so I'm taking advantage of it until the very last minute. So I hope the sound is not too bothering. And my hair are completely on the mic, so oops. Yesterday, while I was editing, I was thinking about the whole hoodie situation, and I realized I did say a few times the flap detail on the hoodie, and I thought it would be really funny if I called it the flap hoodie. I won't, it's a bad idea. But like Flappy hoodie or flap hoodie, it's kind of cute. So it will be the work name until I find something a bit more serious, or maybe until I come in terms with the fact that Flappy hoodie is a good enough name. But I feel like Flappy might mean something else that I'm not aware of. So if you're better at English than I am and you know if Flappy means something that you don't want to have as a pattern name, please tell me. Yeah, and I also thought about the sweater versus cardigan situation, and I think I'm gonna go with the cardigan because when I redrew a better sketch after filming the outro, I just did a better job and it looks perfectly fine as a cardigan, so I'm just gonna do that. And I think I will go with the round neck instead of the standing up turtleneck thing because I think it might be overkill. And if you use like a worsted spun yarn that has more drape and doesn't stand up as easily, this detail is not gonna work out. So I think it's better to have just a round neck. And it's easy to just pick up the stitches and add a turtleneck if you want to. So you can do this modification on your own if you want. So the last question is, how do I do the inside, the part that's between the flappy part? I was thinking a double knit detail would be nice, but since I'm gonna have more width at the top than on the bottom, I would need to do shaping in double knitting. And while it is possible, it's a little bit annoying. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to swatch. Speaking of swatch, I started the new swatch on the same needles, but just knitting tighter, and before blocking the gauge is already 19 stitches, and the other swatch was 18 stitches. And I don't think this one is going to block out as much, so maybe I will get 17 stitches, I don't know. I can still knit tighter, but I just wanted to see what it would look like. So the fabric is, I mean, this is not blocked, so it's completely irrelevant to show you, but the fabric is not as floppy as it was before. And I ended up going with a 2-stitch I-cord. I don't think you can see it, but I have 2 stitches between my markers here. Because I realized when you pick up from a 3-stitch I-cord and you pick up the middle stitch, you have one column of stitches that's left on one side, you have the pickup chain that goes to the other side, and then you have the third stitch of the I-cord that's also on the other side. So you end up with 2 stitches on one side and column of stitches on the other side. And I realized it wasn't necessary to have a 3-stitch I-cord, and I could only go with 2-stitch I-cord. And that way I would have one column of stitches on each side. On one side it's just a column of stitches that you haven't touched, and on the other side it's a the pickup chain that's left. So I'm doing 2 stitches, which also helps having the fabric fold a little bit less on this part, and it pulls on the fabric a little bit less. So it solved all my issue. It's like the perfect middle ground. So I'm glad I swatched to see actually what the best option was. And yeah, I knit on this while I was watching back yesterday's vlog. And I also wove all the ends in of my white day cardigan, which is currently drying right here. I'm not gonna mess around with it. I'm probably gonna have some b-rolls or something to show you. I couldn't finish the sleeve because it was already late, and I wanted it to soak while I was watching the episode back and not knit on it, because otherwise I would have to soak it after I finished the episode, and then I would go to bed at like midnight, and no, we're not doing that here. So it's drying, it's almost dry because it's so hot, and also there was a lot of wind here during the night because I opened all the windows, so it's almost dry. And I just need to go into town to get those buttons. I also need to vacuum before I need to close the windows, which is why I didn't do it yesterday, because I didn't want to do it in the morning because that would be too much. If someone tries to sleep in the morning and I'm like vacuuming on a Sunday, it was like, no. But in the afternoon, I had to close the windows because it was hotter outside. And the vacuum spits out hot air. So you need to open the windows to vacuum. So yeah, it was just better to do it this morning. So I just need to do that now. And then I need to do the yarn estimates. But again, my brain functions better in the morning, so I should do that before I go in town. But then it's gonna be too hot. I don't know, I will have to see. Yeah, so that's today's program. I'm probably forgetting something. It doesn't matter. I'm in a bit of a weird mood because, yeah, trigger warning, motorbike accident. If you don't want to hear this story, you can skip to the timestamp ahead. But this morning I received a message from my dad on the group chat, family group chat, and he said I had an accident. It's pretty bad. And before that, the message was a picture of him on his motorbike with a friend of his, and he was just saying, "Oh, we are at this specific location with my friend. We're having fun. It's great." So that's how I knew it was a motorbike accident, because he didn't say it in the message. Yeah, I had a moment of panic, because if my dad says that it's bad, then it's really bad. And I wasn't sure if I could call him, because if it was really bad, I was pretty sure he would have something else to do than be on the phone. But I waited for a bit and I couldn't wait anymore, so I just called him and he answered. He was talking normally. And he explained he was on his motorbike with his friend and he was doing like the big, how do you call that? The big turns when you go to the mountains. There are big turns in the roads, whatever. And he slipped in one of those and there was a hard shoulder on the side of the road and he slammed himself on the metallic hard shoulder and his leg broke. And his friend was behind him and he slammed onto him, but his friend is fine, he told me. And he told this whole story and I was like, okay, but that sounds bad, how are you? And he seemed to be okay, but he started telling me, oh, now it's starting to hurt. So I figured he was still in the adrenaline of the first crash, so he didn't feel the pain before. And since they were in a very remote place, how do you call ambulance? Ambulance would take a long time to arrive. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let you be then. At least his friend was here and he could take care of him. He couldn't leave the road, so he was still on the side of the road, but yeah. I figured I couldn't do anything, he was pretty far away anyway. At least I knew he was alive. But yeah, that was my morning, so I'm in a bit of a weird mood. But yeah, it's fine. Now we got some other news. He will be transported in a hospital and have some surgery, because apparently it wasn't this part of his leg snapped open, whatever. Yeah, so it's bad, but it's not too bad, and it's gonna be fine. Fun fact, I also had a motorbike accident, which is why I kind of panicked when I had this message from my dad, because when I had my accident, which was kind of the same amount of badness, basically obviously I'm fine now, but I was driving on a pretty high-speed road. I think I was at 80 kilometers per hour speed, and I had priority. My road was completely straight, but that someone was on the side on the road and wanted to engage on the road, and they didn't see me. The road was perfectly straight. It was broad daylight, but they didn't see me, so they just cut the road in front of me, and I completely slammed onto them at full speed because they came on the road and I was like 20 meters away, so I just didn't have the time to slow down. And so my motorbike slammed onto the car, I crashed onto them, and I flew on top of the car and landed a few meters away. I rolled, and yeah, it was horrible. I had 3 breaks in this part. I don't know how it's called, le bassin. The pelvis, maybe? Yeah, it was super painful. So I know the struggle of waiting for the ambulance. Is that how you say it? Yeah. Well, you feel like you're gonna die on the side of the road. But at least there was no blood in my own accident. So yeah, I guess it was a bit more impressive for my dad. Anyway, it runs in the family, apparently. And when I had this accident, I called my parents, and they just left on holiday the day before, so they just arrived on holiday, so they were literally thousands of kilometers from me. And my mom was completely panicking, but my dad was like, it's okay, she's not gonna die, she can talk on the phone, and he was like, so chill. And it wasn't actually sure I wasn't gonna die, because there is a chance when you have a breakage in the pelvis that some parts of the bones can go through your intestines and you can die of a inside hemorrhage, une hémorragie interne. So he was chill, but I think he mainly wanted to calm down my mom and I and just show us the strong figures between us. So I think that's what he was trying to do. Which is why when he said it's a pretty bad accident, I started panicking, because I was like, wait, if my accident wasn't bad, how about yours? But yeah, it was the same, with more blood for him. Yeah, so I will start vacuuming and doing whatever I need to do today. I hope I can do the yarn estimates without messing up too much things. I will have to see. I hope you enjoyed the first episode, and let's crack on with the day.
Everything
Hi, welcome to day 4. Technically, we are halfway through. That was fast. It's almost midday. Will eat lunch pretty soon. I spent the morning doing the bust darts on my white day cardigan because I hadn't written them out yet because I didn't need it to have them to do the test call, so I just left it until the end. But I did that this morning and I'm pretty happy about the result. Usually when I add bust darts into my patterns, I do them made to measure, so you have to measure yourself and then measure how many rows you want to add depending on your gauge, all of that, so that it allows you to add the bust darts even if your gauge doesn't match the one in the pattern, since I often have patterns that have 2 gauges. If you're in between one of the 2 gauges that I'm suggesting, I want you to still be able to add the bust darts, which is why I make them made to measure. But for this one, there's only 1 gauge and it's a cardigan, so having the instructions for each side be written in a way that's like made to measure, it was getting a little bit too chaotic, so I decided to just give fixed measurements and explain how to measure yourself to determine which measurements you should go with, which means I had to write the instructions from scratch because I couldn't just copy-paste what I did in precedent patterns. But I'm pretty happy about the results. I think it's easy to follow, it makes sense. So yeah, I'm happy about my productive morning. Now, for today, first I have this on, so let me show you what it looks like. I did buy the buttons yesterday. I took you with me in town, and I'm not happy about the one I chose. I did a poll on Instagram to ask you which ones I should go with, and it's pretty funny because at the beginning it was clear winner for those ones, the grey ones, like really no doubt. And when I checked again yesterday night, it was 50-50, so I will check again now and see if it has changed. Yeah, it's almost 50-50. There are 76 votes for the black decorated ones and 78 for those grey ones, so yeah. And I think I should have gone with the other ones because they are black and white, and I feel like the grey of those buttons just doesn't really fit with the vibe because this is like a warm, creamy white and this is a cool grey, so I don't think it matches. But it's too late anyway. But I just think the black and white with the floral motif would have been cuter. Oh well, too late anyway. And I think they are tiny bit too big, but or maybe not. I have no idea how big buttons are supposed to be, and they fit perfectly into the buttonhole, so that's good. I made this buttonhole a bit too big. I didn't do that on purpose, but yeah, this one is a bit bigger. And yeah, this is how they look like. And yes, I messed up this buttonhole. It's a little bit too low, so the distance here is bigger than here, but whatever. And this is how it looks like. I'm just so happy. The fit is excellent. The depth of the v-neck is exactly what I wanted. I like the drop shoulder. It's really dropping, which is pretty difficult for me to achieve, but here it does. And the armhole is low enough that you don't have this tuck detail. I mean, I don't feel it. It's not bothering me. And yeah, I think it's just wonderful. There is no extra fabric here at the underarm because there is the shaping here. There are decreases so that you have less fabric in this section so that you don't have too much folds in the fabric, because that's usually what happens with very low drop shoulders. Ah, it's so clean. It's so nice. I don't really know if the yarn is itchy. As is, it's fine. I mean, it's very, very rough for sure, but I don't particularly want to scratch myself. But it's been 5 minutes, so I don't know. Yesterday, when I took the pictures, it was so hot. I was sweating, it was horrible. But I was so focused on the pictures that I didn't really pay attention if it was itchy or not, so I don't really know. I think I could have made the sleeve a tiny bit longer, because if I move around, it kind of rides up like this. So there is a world in which I'm gonna take out the cuff and add a bit of length, but I don't know if I really want to do this. Anyway, for today's rest of the day, half of the day left program, I'm gonna go to the hospital with my mom and my brother to go and see my dad. And the hospital is super far away because, of course, when he had the accident, it was absolutely not near the hospital of my town. So we have to drive like an hour and a half to go and see him. But the building is really nice. So I have no idea if I'm going to be able to film it because I don't even know if I'm going to be outside of the hospital. But I will try to show it to you. But it's like, for Switzerland, it's a big building because Switzerland is small and we don't have a lot of impressive man-made stuff. The most impressive things in Switzerland are nature. But other than that, it's pretty underwhelming as a country. So yeah, I will try to show you views of the city. It's in Bern. I live in Lausanne, and Bern is the Switzerland's capital. It's not the biggest city, but it's the capital. So we will see if I can show you a little bit of that. And I'm gonna go there by car with my mom. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to drive or not, but we'll see. But if I don't have to drive, I can finish this sleeve in the car. And I will need to decide if I lengthen it or not. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine when I'm just my arms down like this. It's really perfect. But I know I really don't like when I'm like in front of my computer and the cuff rides up. I hate it. But it's not too bad. It's really just when I do this that it rides up. I don't know. I will see later. I will also knit on my muscle tank. I did a tiny bit of progress yesterday when I went into town. But yeah, I will continue working on that. And I will also try to finish the swatch of the hoodie. And, oh yeah, something else I wanted to do now. Wait, I had to take notes because my brain is an absolute mess for obvious reasons. So I think there was something else I wanted to talk to you about. I found 2 moths yesterday. I found one in the bathroom 2 days ago on Sunday when I was cleaning, and I killed it. And yesterday night I found another one on the wall in the middle of the apartment. But the windows were open, the lights were on, so I guess there is a possibility it just came in. And the windows are always open in the morning, so there are more bugs than usual because they can just enter through the windows. So I'm not sure it's because they lived inside that the moths are here, or if it's because they just came here when I saw them. I don't know. I will continue to monitor the situation, but yeah, this happened yesterday. All right, I don't think I had anything else to add. Yes, so what was I talking about? Yes, the swatch of this, I asked for recommendations in the first episode and I received so many comments, like so many that I cannot even read them all to you now, but I will try to do a little resume of everything that was suggested. So, a lot of people gave their opinion about sweater, quarter zip, open front cardigan, collar, not high collar, stuff like that. I had 1 vote for every single combination. So you're not helpful at all. But it just goes to show that whatever I end up going with, there will be people that will be happy and people that won't. So yeah, I think I'm kind of overthinking there and I can just go with whatever. And again, it's usually things, I mean, aside from the full open front or just quarter zip situation, it's things that are easy to modify. Like if you want to do the high collar, as I mentioned, you can just pick up the stitches around and just knit straight for twice the length and then fold it over and sew it down and you have a high collar. So I don't think I'm going to add that to the pattern. I will stick to the round neck option and I will stick to the full open front because I had votes for both sweater or cardigan and I had good arguments in favor of both, but I just think the cardigan is going to be what's going to be the most useful and practical for me. So I'm doing this for me. So I will go with what I prefer. And someone suggested pockets. That's awesome. I actually wanted to add pockets in this one, but I was in a little bit of a time crunch. But I really would like to add pockets to the hoodie because it would just make sense to have a hoodie with pockets, right? And someone else mentioned like if I do the sweater with the quarter zip, I could have a kangaroo pouch pocket, and it almost made me go with the sweater solution because this would be so cute. But no, I will stick with the cardigan. So I will try to add pockets because that's a great idea. And a few people mentioned zipper, but I'm too lazy for that. I did a zipper, I mean the design with the zipper inside, it's the Harmony jacket, and it was a pain to install. I'm just too lazy for that. And there is also one thing with the buttons, it's that something I do often, it's a bit weird, but it's just something that's very practical for me. I like to only close the top button, not for a V-neck, but if I had something with a round neck, I like to close only the top button so that the bottom part is just flapping around. It's the flappy cardigan. And you cannot really do that with zipper. I mean, you could if you have two zippers, but that's difficult to find. So yeah, zipper is a good idea actually, and you are free to do this modification, but I don't think that's what I'm gonna go with. Someone else, wait, there are too many comments. I'm lost. Someone mentioned for making the pickup column more obvious and avoid having to do the slip stitches or whatever, to use a piece of running yarn, a piece of scrap yarn that would be running through the fabric, which is a technique that you use in crochet, because you cannot have a beginning of round marker in crochet because it doesn't stay on the needle. And you use a piece of scrap yarn that you make go front and back of the fabric to mark the beginning of round. It would be possible, but there is someone else that mentioned something that would be even better. So that's a great idea, but there is something better. And someone mentioned having the flappy things be parallel, and I'm not sure what you mean, but they are gonna be, because the idea is to have them go with the V-neck shape until about here and then be parallel, because the best of the best would be to have a very gentle curve going from the shoulder all the way to the bottom in a very straight line, I mean curved line, but that's gonna be a nightmare to grade, especially because the length is different for all the sizes, the total body length, which means you would need different increase rates for all the sizes, and it's just gonna be too complicated. So I'm gonna have just like a V-neck actually, a straight line from the shoulder to like about here, and then a vertical line, no shaping anymore, from here to the bottom. And I don't know how close they're gonna be from each other, but if I want to have the opening, probably the width of the button band in the middle, or maybe more. In the inspiration piece jacket I have in mind, there is a big distance between them, so maybe I will stick with the big distance. I'm not sure yet. And someone voted most stitch, and I did say yesterday I was gonna go with the garter, but I've been thinking about this yesterday night, and I think I changed my mind and I'm gonna go with the most stitch, because the garter is very directional because it's basically stripes of pearl bumps. So it's gonna give like a, yeah, it's gonna be stripy in this direction, but I think I would prefer if there is no sense of direction in those pieces of fabric. So most stitch is even, it's not stripes, it's like a flat texture. And I think I would prefer that. So for now, I'm set with the most stitch, but I might change again my mind. And a lot of people said they liked hearing the thought process behind my designs. Thank you. I like sharing about it. I think it's very interesting. A lot of people pretty often ask to designer what's the thought process and how they design stuff and where the idea come from. So I know it's something people are interested in, so that's why I'm sharing all about it, and I'm super happy that you enjoy it. Now, the most important thing someone suggested, it's from someone that I chat with pretty often and that test knit for me often. I don't know how to say your name, I just realized it. You're supposed to say it with the German accent, I guess, and I'm supposed to speak German, but I don't. I think it's like Johanneke? That must be it, Johanneke, I guess, I'm not sure. Anyway, she suggested, and it's a genius idea, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't think about it myself. Instead of doing the slip stitch columns, wait, where's the bottom? The slip stitch column, here, to mark the stitches you're gonna pick up and do decreases and increases to have them slanted. I could do cables, and I was like, yes, of course, that's so much easier. So when I read this comment, I was actually knitting on this watch yesterday night, and I immediately swapped from the slip stitches with decreases and increases to cables. So here I don't have the slip stitches anymore, and I'm just cabling 2 stitches over 1 every 4 rows. So I have my slanted column of stitches, and I don't have the gauge issue of the slip stitches. And when I go to pick up, I can just pick up the correct stitch rate, 2 out of 3 or something like that, without having to increase during the first row. Thank you so much for your suggestion. Yeah, I will now do the pickup on the whole swatch, try the moss stitch, and see if I can do the pickup with black yarn without having the guidance of the slip stitches, because it is a little bit more difficult to see the stitches here where I did the cables compared to where I did the slip stitches. So if I can do the pickup with black yarn without slip stitches, you will probably be able to do it in any situation. So I will try to do that probably in the car or in the bus while I go to my parents' place. And I think that's going to be enough knitting for one afternoon. Because, yeah, we're going to go to the hospital and then go back to my parents' place, and we're going to eat with my mom because she prepared a huge pot of kimchi jjigae. If you're Korean, you know what it is. It's delicious. And she prepared a ton of it because she thought she could give a little bit to me and my boyfriend and eat it with my dad at home. And then my dad didn't come home. So now she's left with her huge pot of kimchi jjigae and she cannot eat it alone. So we're gonna go to my parents' place tonight with my brother, my boyfriend and I. We're gonna eat kimchi jjigae all together and it's gonna be awesome. So that's today's program. It means that for the rest of the day I will only be able to film B-rolls, so there won't be any more chatty bits. So I guess this is the outro of the episode. I will try my best to edit tonight when I come home from my parents, but yeah, I'm not sure. At least yesterday night I edited all of yesterday's footage, so half of the episode is already done, which is good. I'm pretty happy about myself. But yeah, this episode is gonna come out on Wednesday morning. And yeah, I think that's all. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your suggestions and your comments on the last episode. It really drives me to continue. I'm super motivated, and the rhythm of 1 episode every 2 days is infinitely better than 1 episode every day. So I'm slowly finding the sweet spot. It's also much easier for me to find inspiration to film the B-rolls. I feel much more chill. It's still difficult in regards of the amount of work. Like yesterday night I had to edit pretty late, but I feel a lot better than when I did this last year. So that's good. And I hope it will continue until at least the end of the week, if not maybe a little bit of next week. Who knows? So yes, thanks for watching. Happy rest of your day, happy knitting, happy everything, and see you in 2 days.